Hey everyone, Jared here, and we're going to go through, as promised, and watch the entire film from the behind the scenes I did at the Boston Public Library this past February. And you're going to want to stick around to the very end because I'm actually going to go through and do a full critique on myself. I didn't do the actual edit myself, so I think I'm able to remain a little bit objective and a little bit distanced from this film. And generally, I like to do this anyways, to just go through and say, how could I have done things a little bit better? I also want to open it up for you to do critiquing yourself. We do plenty of film critiques on our end on a weekly basis on WFS Live. Make sure you're checking that out, by the way. So feel free in the comment section, write your own critiques of the film, things that you wish were a little bit better. I'm all for it. I'm strong. I can handle it. Don't worry. And then also make sure you stick around because we're going to be going through a lot of the equipment that I used in this film as well. So if you're into gear, if you're into critiques, if you're just dying to watch as many wedding films as possible and learn and grow yourself, make sure you stick around. But for now, let's dive in. Let's watch this film.
Planted in your very souls was the belief that you could find the one whom your soul desires. Blessed are friends who are lovers. Blessed are lovers who are friends.
Sure, not every moment going forward will feel like this, but Jake has and continues to meet each challenge with a true sense of being centered and present.
And what more could I ask for in an older brother? But the thing that I didn't know to ask for was Caroline.
Caroline burst into the world with an excitement, joy, passion, and energy which continues to define her.
But looking tonight at our beautiful, caring, funny, and loving daughter, our dreams for you, Caroline, have come true.
Caroline, but the way that you care, the way that you engage, the way that you love, it makes everyone around you feel so alive. I learn so much from you every day, and I'm so grateful to have you as my partner. I promise to work through life's challenges and to remind you how much I love you every single day for the rest of my life.
Jake, I promise to dream with you, celebrate with you, and walk beside you through whatever our lives may bring. You are my person, Jacob Gahan, and I promise to continue loving you with all my heart today and always.
Jake, from his earliest days, has been one of the most thoughtful, flexible, gentle souls on this earth.
Congratulations, guys. I'm so happy for you. Love you both.
show your ability to manage everything going on in your life, including planning a wedding as amazing as this one, and still show up as a friend at any moment you're needed is truly unheard of.
Jake really sees exactly how special Caroline is and really sees her for who she is, which is just this amazing magnetic personality that we all love so much.
Never keep score. Each of you will have times where you need the other person more than they need you, and the relationship may feel uneven, but at the end of the day, you know you'll always be there for them when they need you the most.
You two are marrying your best friend, and you literally never stop laughing when you're together. Life will throw curveballs, but as long as you can smile and enjoy the ride, everything else will be okay.
All right, so pretty cool film. Very different type of film than what I'm typically used to being a part of. First thing, and I mentioned this in the actual behind the scenes that we did at the very beginning. This is a film where there's not any natural light that we're able to capture throughout the day. We didn't take them outside. It was in the middle of February, which up here in northeastern U.S., pretty dark part of the year. And so I think their ceremony was probably like 5:30 at night. By the time we got over there, it was already pitch black. So not something that is typical for us, which just meant we had to use a lot of lighting. And I think we really leaned into it because it was really the only option that we had. I think for this wedding, we were using 2 Aperture 60Xs. So we had a lot of flexibility. We had a lot of juice, a lot of power. And I would say at times we used it really well. And at other times, I wish I had a little bit more oomph. It did feel pretty dark for a majority of for the film. And then, I would say at the very beginning, one of my critiques during one of these shots was for our wide shot, it's actually overexposed, which isn't typical for me. But I think with it being up in the catwalk area, it was something that we couldn't go back to and look at without it rattling around. I don't know if you saw that catwalk in the behind the scenes, but it was like this steel or iron work all around the room where if you were going over, it actually makes like a loud noise. So we weren't able to go back and check on that wide shot. And I think by the time we started filming, it was a little bit overexposed. So I was kind of pinching myself about that. That's super shitty, but something that we could work around clearly and did. And it's not really the end of the world, but I'm pinching myself about that. I think overall, this film was really nice. And I'll kind of dive into some things I actually like about it, like a typical like a typical wedding film school live film that we would do a review. First of all, we talk about things that we liked, and then we hop into maybe some things that maybe are a little bit more critical. Something I really love about this film is the speeches. We had a lot to work with in this film, which we had 3 people on, I think, the bride side, and then 3 people on the groom side. So we had a lot of different toasts. And for us, that was something that was super solid that we were able to capture really well. I think they sounded great, and then also the content was really good. So obviously we leaned into the toast pretty heavily, and I think Caleb, our editor, did a good job with storytelling there in terms of just using the best of each soundbite and making it interesting. I'm not a huge fan of using toasts throughout the entire film without really going back to the song and bringing the song up. But I think Caleb did it in a very tasteful way that felt good in this film. And then overall, I like the way that we lit those toasts. I know that if you watch the behind the scenes, I at one point mentioned that I feel like I'm in the woods because of the way the light is hitting people or shining through some twigs and trees, essentially, which kind of had this weird cast on their faces. But it's really unique, and I actually kind of like it at the end of the day. I think at first I was like, it's kind of annoying that it's creating these shadows on people's faces. But at the end of the day, I think it added to the overall feel of the film. Kind of unique, kind of cool. And at the end of the day, I think it's not something that they would think is bad. I think it's actually something that made it really neat looking. I like the B-roll that we had in this film. I think the main thing that I wish I saw was just a lot more of it. That's probably a critique, but then also something that kind of protects our film and our packages a little bit, in that, yes, I do wish there was a lot more B-roll, and if I was to choose to have more B-roll, I would have wished to have maybe Richie or a second shooter go outside and do a lot more filming of Boston, a lot more filming of the details throughout the day. There was a lot that we could have grabbed. However, these people only paid for one videographer. So at the end of the day, it kind of protects my packages a little bit more, and it can allow me to upsell people in the future saying like, hey, this is a great film. If you're into it, I wish we would have had a second shooter for this film, because we would have been able to see a lot more people, a lot more things happening. So I don't necessarily hate that there isn't more B-roll from a business perspective. Personally, I don't want to just give away free things. And I'm working with a clientele that we don't have to give away free things. If they want a second videographer, they can pay for it. So I think in a perfect world, I would have seen a lot more B-roll, because I think there was more to grab there, and it would have just completed the film a little bit more. It would have kept you as the viewer a little bit more interested in watching the film for a longer period of time by just throwing off these amazing spaces. Something that I moving kind of more into transitioning slowly into things that I didn't like about the film. Man, the portrait work was like not great. I wish we had more to work with them on. If you watch the behind the scenes, it was something that I knew day of that we were just really restricted by, was how much time we were going to have with the couple, but then also what the spaces looked like. We tried so many different things, and at the end of the day, we had to essentially go into a room that we were like, hey, we didn't ask about this room, but we'd rather just get in trouble and ask for forgiveness than ask for permission, because as you saw, we actually got shut down in a lot of ways. And the bride didn't want to go outside because it was cold. And so we were very limited on where we could be. We couldn't be into the venue before I think the second we got into the venue was the first second that we could actually be there. So we were very restricted on where we could be. And then when we were actually over at the Boston Public Library inside, we were limited on just how much time we could have. And again, the bride was really cold. So it was either be between inside, where the lighting is, okay, beautiful marble. We got some good stuff there. I wish I would have lit that a little bit better, a little bit more like a Sharon kind of high key, high contrast kind of look, hit them with some lights. But we were limited on time, which is what restricted me there. But then also when we were outside, I wish I would have been a little bit closer to the bride and groom, gotten a little bit closer to them. I was mostly pulling from the photographer's continuous light at that point, not using our Aperture 60Xs, which I wish we would have brought our light out a little bit more. I would have had Richie just on standby to be able to capture that, as opposed to having him operate a camera and maybe do a little bit of setup. But we were restricted. So it's not my favorite portrait work I've ever done. But I think that's just, at the end of the day, we're limited. I wish I would have seen a little bit more into the future of how those times were going to work out. But overall, I think this is a really great film. I know the couple was very thrilled with it. They were over the moon about what they received, especially being was a late minute ad for them. So we were able to give them just a beautiful film. In terms of equipment, I just want to kind of rifle down our equipment list for a wedding like this. I already mentioned the lighting that we had, which were 2 Aperture 60Xs, which to me, I think are a staple for any serious wedding filmmaker at this point. I think they're $400 each. That's kind of a step that you can take as a wedding filmmaker to taking your work to another level, is just by investing in some good lighting, guys. So those are the 2 lights that we had. We also used, I think, 3 or 4 Fujifilm X-T4s, which are our staple at this point. We just love the color out of the X-T4s. I think for this wedding, I was probably using a 23mm lens on my gimbal, a 16-55, a 24-70, and then a 70-200. 2 of those lenses are Fuji, 2 of them are Canon lenses. We love Canon lenses because I think they just have a nice kind of glow to them, a nice kind of lens flare. So we're still kind of splitting between half Fuji, half Canon lenses at this point. Something that people always ask me about is the Holdfast Moneymaker, which I used in this film. You can see me wearing it throughout. And the reason I like a Holdfast Moneymaker is because it allows me to have 2 cameras on my person at any given time. So I can have 2 prime lenses. I think a 35-85 combo is a pretty nice combination of prime lenses that a lot of people use. I also love my 1655 Fujifilm lens, which is a constant zoom lens. It's not variable aperture, it's a constant aperture zoom lens, 2.8, and that just is my really fast camera, so I can whip that up, get something really quickly, and then if I want something that has a little bit more depth of field, I can have a prime lens on my left side to be able to do that, or my zoom lens, my telephoto lens, my 70-200, or my 50-140 Fujifilm telephoto lens. So it just gives you some options, and then also it allows me to have kind of a bag on my back. So I have my batteries, I have my cards, I have my audio equipment on me. This is a case where the Holdfast works really well. I don't have to go back to my main kind of hub where I'm keeping all of my gear for the entire day. I just have a lot of essentials on me. So, you know, if you shot weddings for any given time, you know that time is your friend. And you want to use your time to your best advantage. Now, the only thing that I would mention about the Holdfast is, as a videographer, you want to make sure that you're getting the right kind of clip for your camera. Now, when I'm wearing a Holdfast, I usually like to have a quick release plate on the bottom of my camera, and the standard Holdfast clip, it's just too short, and it's really meant for photographers. So when you're ordering your Holdfast, you want to make sure you're ordering the clip that's meant for a quick release plate at the bottom of your camera. Very important as a videographer, if that's going to allow you to strap into your camera and then quickly release it from your Holdfast, put it on a tripod, put it on a monopod, whatever you got to do. You can even put it right onto a gimbal as well, I believe. A couple different ways you can do it. You have to kind of A/B it and then figure it out. But it's a great way for you as a videographer to be able to quickly release and reattach your camera to your body. A lot of videographers are using these Holdfasts now, and they're a great option for you. They make you really fast, and again, name of the game is speed on a wedding day. So hopefully you've enjoyed this film. Be nice in your critique of this film, I would say. Yeah, make sure you're staying tuned. We have another BTS coming out very shortly. Make sure you are doing all the YouTube things, subscribing to the channel, staying notified whenever we're doing releases. That's going to allow us to populate at the top of your feed, as well as just like everything that we are putting out here at Wedding Film School. It goes a long way in helping with the YouTube algorithm, and hope you've enjoyed it, guys. We'll see you around next time here on Wedding Film School.